that we've been told that Russia is not going to go back on its idea that it wants to create Armageddon, or it wants to at least start the ball rolling. And what we haven't been told is how risky NATO's moves have been and how truly a big mistake that we've made, and how President Zelensky has recklessly offered his country and its people as ground zero for World War III. So far, the war has not been reported by the media. I mean, it's as if it has been quietly put on the back burner because of all the short outcomes that seem to be happening, and the idea of loss and a Russian victory would be anathema to an administration who's throwing money over there, who's gutting the economy to send money to Ukraine in order to fight the war. You heard that he's sending more money. Are we approving this? Are we okay with this? Yeah, I'm sure many people are, because we've all been brainwashed into thinking this is for our own good. But all of these short-term outcomes notwithstanding, nobody should discount the possibility, short of a robust peace agreement, of nuclear war. We're going to see the chance, every time this goes longer and longer, we have a chance of seeing nuclear war in that part of the world. If not a nuclear war, then prepare for a nuclear incident that is accidentally triggered because of negligence. And again, this would quite possibly involve nuclear plants, power plants, and reactors that have become targets in this war. Moscow and Kyiv have they've accused each other of shelling the Zaporizhia plant, the biggest atomic power station in Europe, which has been under Russian control since March. The tensions around the facility have sparked fears of another nuclear disaster in Europe, like the one in Chernobyl in 1986. Remember what we were saying? This is all, like I was talking with Dave, this is all like a repeat performance here. We were saying that for some reason, the media and Hollywood have been trying to put us back to 1986 with, Stranger Things and the evil Russians and Kate Bush's hit song and, all of this stuff has all about 1986 and how 1986 should have ended up being, a war, a huge war between Russia and the United States. The missile gap and the mutually assured destruction should have happened in 1986. So now they're saying that there could be a huge nuclear disaster similar to Chernobyl that happened in 1986. A nuclear drill was held Wednesday at the power plant because they wanted to prepare for a nuclear disaster. Dozens of Ukrainian emergency workers wearing gas masks and hazmat suits all took part in the drill, in which they practiced evacuating an injured person and washing down contaminated vehicles. Ukraine has accused Russia of firing on the plant in order to accuse Ukraine of doing it, while Russia has accused Kyiv of doing it. So it's this push-me-pull-you situation where you try to get confirmation of who's doing the shelling of this power plant, and everybody comes up with nothing. Reuters, AP, Hindustan News, I went through all of them trying to figure out who's doing the shooting. No one's going to say who's doing the shooting. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said yesterday, he said he was gravely concerned about the situation at this power plant. He said he was speaking to reporters. He was speaking with Volodymyr Zelensky in it was a place called Lviv. It's a city that's west there in Ukraine. Guterres had said military equipment and personnel should be withdrawn from the plant. Quote, the facility must not be used as part of any military operation. Instead, agreement is urgently needed to reestablish the power plant's civilian infrastructure and to ensure the safety of the area. The Zaporizhia power plant. Moscow earlier rejected international appeals for a demilitarized zone around the plant, which is still being operated by Ukrainian engineers under Russian occupation, saying this is unacceptable. So the power station sits on the Russian area, Russian-controlled south bank of this huge reservoir. Ukrainian forces hold the north bank. So north and south bank is fighting, and this nuclear power plant is in the middle of their fighting. Ukraine's also accusing Russia of using the plant as a shield for its forces to launch strikes across the reservoir on Ukraine-held cities. Moscow says that's not true. We're not doing that. Reuters, as I said, and other news sources are not able to independently confirm the military situation there. But what they do know is that power plant in Europe is very concerned that power plant is going to be ground zero for shelling, ground zero for another nuclear disaster. Russia has allegedly told workers of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant they are not to attend work. They were told to not go to work today. Ukrainian authorities are saying that this might be evidence that Russia is preparing a large-scale provocation at the power plant. I was reading that President Erdogan, Turkish President Erdogan, he publicly voiced support for Ukraine yesterday, and he expressed concern that shelling at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant could lead to another Chernobyl. Weeks before Erdogan arrived in Ukraine to meet with President Volodymyr Zelensky, he met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Sochi, Russia. And there, both of them reaffirmed their common will to further Turkey-Russian relations based on mutual respect and recognition of reciprocal interests and in accordance with their international undertakings, according to a joint statement published on the Kremlin's website. But Erdogan told reporters that while Turkey is continuing their efforts to find a solution, they remain on the side of their Ukrainian friends. That was reported in the French press. Meanwhile, there were harsh words that were given by Russia's former president and deputy chairman of Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev. He said this. He said, "It seems like Kyiv's scumbags and their Western patrons are ready to orchestrate a new Chernobyl. Rockets and shells are falling closer and closer to the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant reactor." He said, "What can one say? Don't forget that there are nuclear sites in the European Union, too, and incidents are possible there as well." So, I mean, that sounds like a veiled threat right there. I don't know what he meant by it, but yeah, he said, don't forget that there are nuclear sites in the European Union, too, and incidents can happen there as well. So what's going on here? Are they ramping up the possibility of a nuclear fight over a power plant? And would we be seeing Chernobyl 2.0 here? I mean, it's consistent with all the nuclear warnings we've been hearing from Vladimir Putin and from Zelensky. Medvedev had said before, he said that the West is ramping up arms shipments to the Ukrainian government, and that would spark a proxy war that risks leading to full-scale nuclear war. Putin was also quoted as saying this. He said, quote, "If Ukraine acquires weapons of mass destruction, the situation in the world and in Europe will drastically change, especially for us and for Russia. We cannot but react to this real danger, all the more since, let me repeat, Ukraine's Western patrons may help it acquire these weapons to create yet another threat to our country." So Putin has made statements like this before. This is nothing new. But usually he just throws it off the cuff remark here. But he's now saying that there is justification for urgent action and nuclear war could be the result. I mean, very different from, how they were 30 years ago. Very different from when nuclear scientists were being voluntarily retained to use their skills for peaceful purposes and nuclear weapons were being removed from Ukraine. This is a whole new different world, guys. A whole new different world. Core intelligence now being debated, hotly debated as to whether or not, President Trump had these things. I doubt he did, but still, that fever, that nuclear fever, that core intelligence, scorched earth policy idea is still out there. Europe is nervous. Everybody's nervous, and they're watching this power plant to see what happens next.